Hello and welcome along to On the Bench Extra, your weekly football show. In the show, we'll be looking at the latest results. We'll hear from Scunthorpe United and we take a look at the upcoming fixtures. Joining me to do so is, of course, Mr. Hardy, aka Tom. Don't forget we are on social media as well, so please get in touch. Tom, Hardy, we'll start by talking about the latest transfers. Obviously, we've had a not very busy deadline day. So Hull City, they've signed a chap called Ndoye.
They certainly have, yeah. Damon Ndoye, they've got him from Lokomotiv Moscow. So we've got some stats here, actually. A decent striker. He's no spring chicken, though. He's coming up 30 this month. So, obviously, he's got a wealth of experience. Probably some people would argue that he's in his peak now for a striker.
Is he 30 in a few weeks' time, is that right?
He is, yeah. Yeah, he's end of February, he's 30 years old. So, obviously, happy birthday to him. Let's hope they don't have a Torre situation.
Now, there is a stat on there where he was most prolific. Where was that?
He was most prolific. He was at Copenhagen. I remember years back scoring in the Champions League and Europa League. So he's got a decent pedigree. He's scored at a high level. So obviously Hull will be wanting him to come in and adapt straight away in getting the squad and be scoring goals, something that they've lacked.
Do you think he can make a difference for Hull City?
I do, yeah. Yeah, what I saw of him a couple of years back when he was at Copenhagen, I've not seen him at Moscow, but when he was at Copenhagen, he looked like a decent striker. And we see a lot of, he's Senegalese, we see a lot of the African strikers come to the Premier League and succeed. You know, I've had Demba Ba, Papi Cisse had a little spell where he was doing decent, Drogba, players like that. So Hull will be hoping he can come and just start firing from the off.
Now we know Scunthorpe have obviously signed Luke Daniels, goalkeeper, and Anion as well. Grimsby have extended Ollie Palmer's loan. That's great, really great news for Town fans. He does look good, and hopefully he can make a difference along with Jolly and Robertson. His most prolific spell was at Havant and Waterlooville, 37 goals in 64 games. Should he bring that form to Grimsby Town? Promotion?
Yeah, well, promotion. He'd be a big part of the team. Obviously, he's a very tall striker. He's very physical for that league, and that's the sort of thing that you're looking for. You just hope that Town don't rely too much on the long ball because of his size and his ability in the air and
yeah, they shouldn't forget playing along the field. Jean-Paul Pittman said he likes the fact that they get it on the deck and they play football. Yeah, can't forget that.
Which Town have done, and you've got players like Brown, you've got Disley, you've got Clay who can pass the ball. They're good passers. They look to get it out to the wings, and Palmer's proved, especially against Barnet when we saw them, that he's really good with the ball on the deck as well. So
some good deals there for our local clubs. Right, definitely. Hardy, we'll move on. We'll look at the latest results. Hull lost 3-0 at home to Newcastle, their fourth defeat in 5 games, to extend the pressure on Steve Bruce. Scunthorpe continued their upturn in results under Mark Robbins with a 4-1 victory at Leyton Orient. On-loan striker Tom Hopper has now scored 4 goals in 4 games for the club. Grimsby Town's last 2 games against AFC Telford and Dover Athletic were postponed. The home game against Telford has been rearranged for Tuesday the 24th of February. Last Saturday, North Ferriby beat Worcester City 3-0 at Church Road and currently sit in 8th position in the Conference North. Evidently, this trip to Portugal for Hull City then looked like more of a holiday than a training session because it's not paid off.
It's certainly not paid off, no. And that's what we talked about last week. Was it?
We did predict a draw, didn't we? We was both totally wrong.
Yeah, we did, and they were obviously hammered. Not a good result at home. Obviously, any loss is
Newcastle are a side who are also struggling really as well. They're not the top Newcastle of late, recent seasons.
No, they've not been good since John Carver took charge. Obviously, now he's permanent manager. Under Pardew, they had a sudden spell where they were doing well, and they've dropped off again. So
it is taking that into consideration, and a real poor result.
Definitely, very poor, drastic for Hull.
We'll talk about Steve Bruce more later on in the show. Let's talk about Scunthorpe United, emphatic win over Leyton Orient, lowly Leyton Orient, 4-1.
Huge, yeah, lowly, but still away from home to win 4-1 is a brilliant result. I mean, obviously they didn't get the clean sheet, but fantastic. We said it'd be battle of the strikers. Tom Hopper came out on top, and
we mentioned it before, didn't we? A cliche: any team can beat any team in that league. But this just proves, it's right.
Yeah, and it's so tight. League One is so tight, as you see with the Championship and League Two at times as well. League One is such a tight league at the moment. Scunthorpe, bottom half of the table, still looking for promotion. That shows how tight it is.
We said, points, numerous points off relegation and also numerous points off the playoffs. It could literally go either way for Scunthorpe.
Certainly, yeah, it could. So they're going to have to be careful. Obviously, keep winning games and they're going the right way.
Obviously, no result for Grimsby really of late because they've had postponements. Is that going to be an issue?
Yes, it will be an issue if these games keep accumulating. It happened last season, happened slightly the season before as well, and I personally think it cost Grimsby.
That win at Eastleigh then, that was obviously huge because Eastleigh are pushing for the playoffs as well. I think they might get that, so that was a massive result.
Massive, yeah. The games Grimsby have got coming up though they've got some big games: Forest Green, Bristol Rovers, Barnet, teams like that. So they don't want to be playing Saturday, Tuesday every week and games in between. It just makes it really difficult to win these big games.
And of course, they are fixtures that are obviously now building up. There's a backlog of fixtures, postponements and replays or whatnot. Something's caused it. The weather can't be helped. Is this going to be a massive issue? Because obviously last season for Grimsby, this is what caused an upset in the form and fatigue of players.
Yeah, not directly impacted, but obviously that's what people from the outside were seeing, that these build-up of fixtures were what caused Grimsby's demise towards the end of the season. Paul Hayes still want to be playing games at the minute because Town are on a roll, they're doing really well. So he'll want all the games that he can. These postponements, putting games back and players not getting the game time, it can take away the bit of the buzz that they've built up over the past few
another
weeks.
cliche, but every game is now important. Even against your Barnets or your Telfords, you need to win them all, really.
Yeah, fully cliche tonight, Reidy, aren't you? They've got to, you've got to win every game, but these games against the big sides are what really will test Town and show whether they're worthy of promotion.
I mean, there is a bit of a gap now from Grimsby, I think, to 6th place in the playoffs or 5th place. So there is room to drop points in a way. There is room, there is margin for error. They're not going to pick up maximum points between now and the end of the season. They will drop points. There is some margin for it, but they would like to win them all. Of course, that Telford game needs to be replayed. How important is that going to be?
It's going to be huge. Obviously, it should be a game that Town win comfortably, but
we know
big word is but. Yeah, we've seen it this season. The teams towards the bottom end of the league getting draws and losses. So, they've got to win it. They've got to win it.
It's the kind of team at the moment that could go to Barnet and win, and then host Telford and lose at Blundell Park.
It is. The Town fans don't want that.
No,
they most definitely don't want that.
So is this going to be a massive problem for the remaining season then? These backlog of fixtures.
It will be if they continue. Obviously, we're hoping the weather's going to improve and they don't get the games called off. Obviously, the lower leagues tend to get more postponements because the grounds aren't quite as good. Not that that's any fault of Grimsby's ground. That was just due to the weather. Unexpected snow and rain, which caused the flooding. So
I see on Twitter in midweek actually some Telford fans had arrived in Grimsby around 12 o'clock and they were very unhappy with Grimsby Town Football Club that this game was postponed. And I felt, I said, it's the officials that made the call, it's not the club. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure there'll be more postponements.
Yeah, we hope not. Fingers crossed. We don't like postponements, and the managers certainly don't.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Hardy. Right, earlier this week we spoke to Scunthorpe United for an update on their club. Take a look at this.
I think it's important that at times you give yourself, you want as many players as possible that are fit and eligible to play in the game, and we're getting there. When I first came in, there were 10 and 11, 12 injuries, and long-termers within that. At the moment, I think there's Dave Sides and the 2 goalkeepers. Apart from that, I think we're pretty much good to go. I think it's important that we keep performing the way that we're performing, home and away.
Mm-hmm.
We've been good. We've got a good group of players who've worked the socks off for me ever since I walked through the door. If they can continue to do that, then we've got a chance of winning football matches. As soon as we start taking the foot off the gas, that's when things start to unravel. There's no sign of it. I've got to say, there's no sign of it. They're hungry. They want to do well, and we just really need to hold them back a little bit because they're ready to. They look ready to go. They're ready for the next game. It's another League One fixture that's playing against a side that could go into the playoff places. Given the right run of results. They're only 3 points away from that. They lost to Barnsley on Tuesday night, which I went to watch, and they weren't far away from getting into the playoff positions on Tuesday night. But they lost 1-0, so they'll be coming here and wanting to pick up the 3 points and not lose 2 on the bounce. Jono's been a good player wherever he's gone. He's done pretty well. This season he's outscored every other season that he's played, I think, in the league, which is good for him. And he's in a rich vein of form. So they've signed 2 new strikers as well, Oldham. So it depends whether the manager thinks that or which combination he's going to choose or use. But again, there's some good players to choose from there. Confidence is good. I think the important thing is the field around the place is good. I think the confidence is growing within the camp, but I think the feel-good factor around the club has started to grow. And I'd love to see more. We're really grateful for anybody that comes to watch. The supporters have been fantastic, and the away support's growing. The away support down at Lane Orient last week was fantastic. If we could maybe galvanise that and get more through the turnstiles at home, it makes such a big difference. You know, it's a good time to be involved. It's a good time to come down and watch. The players are the players are doing really well and really would deserve a full house.
The latest from Scunthorpe United there. Let's move on to this week's quiz question from our chief researcher, Greg. Can you name the Newcastle United team to face Grimsby Town in 2005?
Shay Given, Stephen Carr, Olivier Bernard, Laurent Robert, Shearer, Gary Speed, Rob Lee, Davizas, Boomsong, David Rosenal, Nzogbia, Craig Bellamy. Is that it?
Three out of 11, Hardy. You were at that game pretty poor.
Yeah, can be beaten. I should have known. Should have known the full 11.
Thank you. Right, this week's half-time teaser then is which former Hull City goalkeeper, due to injuries, was used as a makeshift striker and scored 2 goals. See you after the break. Welcome back to Extra. Now, Alan Fettis was employed as a substitute striker and scored against Oxford and Blackpool in the 94-95 season. Not bad for a goalkeeper. Well done if you got that at home. Still to come, we look at the upcoming fixtures. But first, this is my attempt at the challenge. Can you name the Newcastle United team to face Grimsby Town in 2005? Alan Shearer, Nobby Solano, Stephen Taylor, Shay Given, James Milner, Andy Cole, Michael Owen, actually won a challenge, Hardy, 4-3.
It's a miracle.
It is,
It's
right.
April Fools, is it?
We could have had any of these players, given we got Ramage, Taylor, Bramble, Babiaro, Solano, Fay, Parker, Insomnia, Nzogbia, Shearer and Chopra. So you could have had any of those players. Well done if you got them right. So we'll move on to Steve Bruce in this week's Sack or Stick. Rightly so or wrongly so, Hardy?
Hate to say it, but rightly so. Obviously, you don't want to see managers get sacked. We do this every week, so no, we do want to see him get sacked. But
I mean, the pressure's on him for a reason. They've not won since New Year's Day, which is a long time in the Premier League. And they've not scored since then either, which is terrible.
It's too long, and Steve Bruce is, things have changed, fortunes have changed. From the start of the season, there were a lot of people that were saying he should be the next England manager, I believe. And things now were saying he's not capable of being a Premier League manager. So it's amazing how the tide can turn and how people's opinions can change based on, however many games in a season.
On home results, Hull City would be rock bottom in 20th place. On away results, it's a common theme here. They're performing better away from home. Still only 17th, but they'd be outside that relegation zone.
So that home form's got to improve. It really has.
Home form should be like a fortress at home, really.
They should be, because obviously they're not one of the best teams in the league. They're the sort of team that needs to be like Stoke used to be, like Crystal Palace. They need to build on their home results. They need to make that.
It keeps you in the league, really, your home form.
Well, it does, yeah, because obviously they are doing slightly better away from home, but they'd still only be 17th if you went on away results. So it's not as if the top half of the table.
So if they were to improve home results, basically, then they'd be like 12th, 13th.
I think that's what they've got to focus on.
Mid-table.
And you don't know if it's because the fans are getting on the players' backs. But that has built up over time. The start of the season, that wasn't happening.
Do you think then, not being in the Europa League this season is a blessing in disguise? Because that as well, up to this point, there could be rock bottom.
They could, but I think, obviously, Europa League, depending on how far they'd have got, if they hadn't qualified from the group, they'd have been out now anyway. You never know, it might have worked the other way, it might have created a bit of rhythm. I don't like all this negativity about the Europa League because I think we're the only country in Europe that treats it the way we do. It's still a European competition and there are still good teams that play in it. So I don't like how the media get on the back of the Europa League all the time.
Of course, and obviously if you win the Europa League, I believe you go straight into the Champions League as well.
You do, yeah, and you play against decent teams.
Exactly.
You play against some decent teams.
There's some good quality teams in there. I'm looking at Mo Diame, obviously he signed at the start of the season. He's got 4 goals in 10 games. Is that good enough for that signing, that fee?
Well, yeah, because obviously you knew about my thoughts about Diame when he first signed, and I thought he was a bit overhyped.
You wasn't a big fan, was you?
No, I thought he was a bit overhyped. Obviously, he's had his injury problems, so he hasn't played as many games as what they want. Hull have had a lot of injuries. Now, we always, people use this as an excuse sometimes. They have had a lot of injuries, and like I said before, they're sort of the backbone of the team is very strong. After that, some players sort of championship class maybe.
Next 5 games for Hull City then. Manchester City, Aston Villa, QPR, Stoke City and Sunderland, all in the league. I would say 3 out of those 5 must be wins.
I think 3 out of 5 are winnable. Man City this weekend, you take that as, well...
So they should be beating Villa, QPR and Sunderland.
Yeah, well, QPR, obviously, Harry Redknapp's gone, so that's a winnable game. We don't know exactly what's gone off there, but they haven't got a fantastic team. Their away record is horrendous. Is
it a good time to play QPR in the next few weeks?
I'd say so. I think there's obviously something's gone on. It's not very settled. So
if they can beat teams around themselves in the mini table, they have half a chance of staying up. Has Steve Bruce taken Hull as far as he can? I think I said he had a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you said he had. I think he's still got more to give.
Should the injured players come back?
Yeah, should the injured players come back and he get his full squad of players to work with, he needs a few good results, and I think then he can build and they can move away. I mean, I thought they'd finish mid-table this season, and they've struggled a lot more than I thought.
I actually thought they would perform much better this season, and for me, they're underperforming with the squad they've got.
Yeah, I mean, Huddleston has been poor. He's been poor for quite a few months now. I think Livermore is been found out. Livermore, I think he's reasonably average sort of player. Huddleston has got the quality, but his form lately has been well below par.
Results must pick up.
Definitely, and then he goals.
So, let's now look at the upcoming fixtures. As we mentioned, Hull are away at the Etihad against Manchester City, looking for a win against a team they have yet to beat away from home since February 1930. They lost this game 2-0 last season. Scunthorpe will be hoping Tom Hopper can continue his goal-scoring form as they face 10th placed Oldham at Glanford Park. After 2 back-to-back postponements, Grimsby will be hoping that the weather doesn't affect their game at Forest Green, who they have beaten in 6 out of 9 meetings. And finally, North Ferriby United host Ebbsfleet at Church Road in the 4th round of the FA Trophy, hoping to extend their participation in the competition. North Ferriby are back in league action at Church Road against Worcester City. They won this game last season 2-1. So we touched on it briefly. Hull City away at the Etihad. Tough challenge, surely.
Yeah, I don't give them much of a chance there, and I'm sure the bookies don't either. It's you go there and try and take a draw. I think that's all Hull can hope for. Man City just far too strong for them. I can't see them getting anything from the Etihad.
These two sides have played 24 games between them. City have won 12. So Manchester City have won 12. They've drawn 7, and City have only won 5 of those meetings. So again, our stat man give us this for a reason. It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good now. And like I said, a team with the quality of that Man City have got, they would be expecting to win that sort of game at home.
Hands down.
Definitely.
So Scunthorpe United host Oldham Athletic. Tough test for Scunthorpe, or again, is it any team could win this? It could go either way.
Well, it's a tricky one to call. Oldham have been up and down, and obviously there was all the controversy with the Ched Evans situation, which a lot of people thought would throw them off, but they've still been doing okay. I believe they lost in midweek, I think, to Barnsley. So Oldham, obviously, you can't really call it. They're a team that usually we found towards the lower end of the league, but they've been doing quite well this season, so it's going to be a challenge for Scunthorpe, definitely.
More than likely will be, yeah, massive challenge. Do you want to predict that game?
I'll go 2-1 Scunthorpe for that game.
I will go 2-2.
2-2.
Right, let's look at Grimsby away at Forest Green Rovers. Again, this is a must-win, really.
It is, yeah, and it's the first game in a long while as well. Forest Green, as we know, one of the sides in the league with big financial backing. They've got some good players. I saw the reverse fixture, and Forest Green actually looked terrible. They were really, really poor.
So things look good for Grimsby then going away?
You never know. An away game, obviously. They need to get a result. But based on what I saw of Forest Green at Blundell Park, they didn't look very good whatsoever. So if Grimsby can play with the same, with a better tempo than what they did, because it wasn't a fantastic game, they ground out a result. But if they can get another result, I mean, that's all that matters. A win.
Should this game be called off, then how difficult will it be for Grimsby getting back into the rhythm of league football?
Where are they going to put the game?
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays.
I mean, I remember it happening last year, the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I mean, you talk about managers using excuses about tiredness and things.
It is a factor.
It is a factor. With a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, that in the lower leagues.
One day for the body to recover, and you've got another game. One day to recover, another game. It's not, players aren't used to that.
They're not. In the lower leagues, no disrespect, but the fitness levels probably aren't as good because they're not training at as higher intensity as the Premier League footballers who are on hundreds of £1,000s a week. Yeah. So it does take its toll, and I'm sure if Grimsby players will have agreed with us and said it is very hard work for them.
As I said earlier in the show, there is margin there for Grimsby. They're quite securely in the playoffs at the moment. Should they lose that game, setback, or can they bounce back from that and go on to still achieve what they want?
It wouldn't be the be-all and end-all because they could still, as we said before, it's still tight in the playoffs, but they've got a bit of space before they're dropping down further than that. So losing wouldn't be terrible. It wouldn't be absolutely catastrophic, but winning would cement their place in the playoffs and show that they're serious about trying to catch Barnet up as well.
Definitely, and obviously they've still got to play Barnet as well.
Exactly.
So there's still room there to do that. And let's look at North Ferriby. Obviously they are hosting Ebbsfleet in the FA Trophy, we now know. We talked about it, obviously, on the show previously. The chances for North Ferriby in that game?
Yeah, well, previous game it was a saucy victory against Worcester, wasn't it? It was a good one.
Crisp finish in that.
Oh, dear me. It was... We talked about that with the Ebbsfleet and obviously Braintree, and we said that it would be, either
similar
or.
qualities really from both sides.
Yeah, because Ebbsfleet doing well in the Conference South and Braintree not doing particularly well in the Conference, so we knew it was going to be a tight game. I think they'll be reasonably happy with that draw, and dare I say, confident that they can get to the next round.
I was about to say, should they win that game? I think they're 2 games off Wembley.
Yeah.
And I know I've said it before, but that's massive.
Oh, it's incredible. It is. It's absolutely fantastic. And as we said in previous shows, for a club in North Ferriby, the stature of the club, to get to Wembley would be fantastic.
Do you think the players are starting to believe now they can reach Wembley?
I think they really are. I think maybe at the start of the competition, they possibly thought, well, we'll just give it a go and see how we get on. But I think it's a real belief now. Hopefully they don't get carried away with it and it, jangles the nerves and things. But it'd be exactly the same for Ebbsfleet as well. So
even bigger for Ebbsfleet, obviously.
Yeah.
Can I take a prediction for that game from you?
Yeah, I'm going to go... We'll go 2-1 again. We'll go 2-1 North Ferriby.
I'll agree with you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Well, that happened last time.
Well, unfortunately, there's no extra time in this show, so we have to go now. Join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Don't forget, right here on Estuary TV. We are, of course, back next week. Please don't hesitate to get in touch on social media, Facebook, Twitter, or email on the bench at estuary.tv, and we could read your thoughts out on the show. Thank you to Hardy for all his wise words this week. So until next time, goodbye.